I felt like the whole game we got a lot of great shots. Some just didn't fall, and so when we get to where our offense is rolling, we get them in, and obviously I thought we played great defense the whole game. So, on the offensive end they're going in, defensive end we're getting stopped. So that energy comes around. So I feel like we did good.
Love lost with Kenny die.
I'm straight.
Darius, once you guys kind of got in a rhythm there, the second half, and got some separation, the crowd was getting into it and giving you guys a lot of energy. How much fun was it during that moment, that moment?
Well, it was definitely fun, but I think you said the intensity of like that spurt. Like we were super fired up on the defensive end, more so like obviously the baskets are energetic plays to some degree, but defensively that's where all the energy was stirred up. So it was super dope to kind of be in the mix of that a little bit.
I think you missed, what was it, your first 14 shots? I mean, is that something that starts getting into your head as you're going to the next one, or you just try to flush it?
I mean, everyone shoots shots to make it, so a little bit, but at the same time, like I said in the locker room, it's kind of like living life. Like for us, we get to respond to our circumstances in front of everybody, so hopefully it's applicable to the fans and from their view. So you just got to keep pursuing no matter what the circumstances is.
And we trust him. Anytime Darius shoots a shot, we think it's going in. So like if he misses it, we don't care.
If you go back to that AAU tournament when you're at Blue Ridge where Coach McGhee is there and you miss a bunch of shots and he says keep shooting, because if you come to Liberty and you miss shots and you quit shooting, I'm going to bench you. Did that go through your mind? Not at all.
Not during that stretch. I mean, obviously my teammates were like coming and kind of staying in my ear the whole time, but at the same time, you look at the type of shots and they're the same shots I shot all year. So I think from my standpoint, it's just like don't get deterred. Like it's a game of basketball. Like I said, sometimes they go in a lot, like they do in Kennesaw, and then sometimes you start 0 for 14. Like it's really you control it a little bit, but at the same time, you got to kind of take how the cards unfold and keep pursuing.
Joseph, when the shots aren't going in the first half, you're still diving on the floor, getting bruised up and battered, and your teammates are doing the same thing. What does that say about your team and especially what the defense can do to keep you guys in games during those stretches?
Obviously, we stress that our identity is on the defensive end. So I feel like when we come out with a defensive identity, even when our shots are not falling, we can always have that foundation. So even when the shots aren't falling, we're keeping them from scoring. We know the shots are going to fall. Like later on in the game, just how it did. So we're not really too stressed about that.
Darius, a few weeks back you talked about the energy you get playing off this crowd, and that was a few games back you talked about, and that was the biggest crowd in arena history. Then tonight you broke that record with the next biggest crowd in arena history. So what's that like playing in front of the biggest crowd on senior night?
I mean, it's super dope. I think we got the most supportive fan base in the whole entire conference, and competing with Power Fives in the conference. Obviously we don't have the grand arenas like other places, but the energy that we provide within our stadium is second to none. So there's always an advantage playing here. Like I said, hopefully we can host if things fall into our hands correctly. Like we host the entire tournament here, so that'll be super unique.
JD, one of the things that Kenny Dye said after Wednesday night's game was that every time they drove the lane, you guys had two bodies there, and you were always shutting off driving lanes. When you have to face a team like this twice in 48 hours, you still have to have that attention to detail. How tough of a grind is that just to keep them contained on drives and just really stick to the scouts, to the detail?
Obviously, I think it's more of a mental grind. Obviously we go and scout, we do it in practice, and to be able to translate that into the game, I just think it shows like a lot of what our team's about. And we knew what was going to be coming into this game, and that he struggled the first game, and he was going to try to get his this game. So just being able to kind of contain him a little bit was big for us.
Darius, what was the moment like for you pregame during the senior night ceremony as you got to walk out with your family and shake Coach McGhee's hand?
It was definitely special to see my family walk on the floor. It's probably their second time, obviously last year. You would think, as I've been here 5 years, my family would probably come to shoot in the summer or just come up here randomly, but like that's literally their second time being able to step onto the floor. So it's still a super special moment. But I was more so focused because obviously I was the last one, but to see all the guys that went ahead of me and watching their response, seeing their families kind of embrace that moment was super dope. Especially, I knew Blake was going to tear up. I called it, so to see.
Darius, typically you don't show much emotion, but after a rough first half, you talked about second half. I saw several times where you ripped the jump ball away, and we're kind of getting the crowd going. That's not something we see from you. Is that something that like you were just that fired up, or you felt that energy? What was it that made you kind of act out tonight?
I'm not sure. Probably just the competitive nature, atmosphere, and obviously it was like a very physical game. So I mean, we always say we want to meet every team's physicality, so it's probably more so that being in a little scuffle, the jump ball, just trying to be the aggressive as always. So probably that's all.
You guys obviously have had a really good regular season, and now, everything comes down to these next, up to 3 games for you. What's your mindset, Darius? I mean, you've been here the last, this is what, kind of going into this. What's your mindset for these next few days and games?
Prepare as much, stay poised as a unit, keep preparing so we can be sharp and just trust what we're doing. Like, we're not making major adjustments at this point of the year, but we also want to make sure we make those minor adjustments from focusing on the very next game, because we know the very next game could be potentially our last. So the young guys, they've been super pumped up just because, like, the freshman class, they have a sour taste. Well, everyone does, but they definitely feel like they want to ramp things up. So especially this guy to my right, one of the most competitive people in the country. So everyone's super intentional, and you can kind of feel that energy coming up. And it's not like a anxious or nervousness, but it's a genuine pursuit. So.
Same question for you, JV. I mean, you get to do it the second time in your career. What's going through your head right now? Are you ready for next week?
Obviously, like Darius said last year, kind of a disappointment for us as far as us freshmen, like seeing this team, watching them before coming here, succeed in the tournaments and being able to go to the NCAA tournament and everything. So it was kind of a tough moment for us last year. So just coming in this year, having that same picture, just making sure we do everything in our that we're capable of, and going out to do what we're meant to do.
Darius, obviously they love you in Roxborough. Can you just talk a little bit about the basketball culture there and what it's been like for you to have that level of support from your hometown?
The basketball coach, they're super talented. Like, I remember growing up, like, I was one of the best basketball players as a young kid. I wouldn't say I was quote unquote the best, but like, growing up, we were literally start playing basketball at my house, and there was probably like 4 or 5 people who were all the same age, same grade, but we all can hoop. And we're walking from house to house throughout the day. Our parents are working, and we're just playing basketball outside all day until it's time for us to come in. And then, like, there aren't many gyms to get access to, so when people do get access to it, it's like everyone in the city goes to that run. So it's like super dog-like competitive growing up. Everybody is somebody on the basketball court. I tell them all the time, like, I'm grateful for the position I'm in, but I have so many other friends who are super talented and way more talented enough to play Division I basketball. So the culture of basketball there is always really good. But it definitely means a lot to have that support, like, from my hometown, because obviously going to a boarding school in Virginia was kind of like a weird thing. Not a lot of people was like leaving the city in high school. So to see them still support that movement and understand, like, that transition was needed for me to grow into the best person I could be, so I can go back and give them more than what I probably could have if I would have just stayed. So to have that love still, even after that, goes a long ways and says a lot about the town.